Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another 4 days in a row now Bops cast, and tonight we have the absolute pleasure of casting the rematch between Team Unreliable and MMR is just a number, and it looks to me like MMR is just number. Do not have any oh, they do have Killer Ari. Okay, I was going to say don't have any stand-ins, but they've got one tonight. They're up against Team Unreliable, one of the spooky dookiest teams in this entire freaking tournament here at D2LA Season 1, and I am very excited to see them clash head to head. And to give Ilstaya a bit of a rest, a bit of recovery, a bit of time to relax, I've got the one, the only, Anno here to cast the game alongside me. Anno, do you want to say hi?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I guess I have to. I'm being held at gunpoint right now by Bops, so I have to say hi.
It's good to have you here, Anno. And before we get into the draft and get chatting about it, guys and girls, if you do not know Anno, get on over, follow Anno's channel. Anno, put a message in chat so they can get straight to it, because he is the best in our scene. He's the reason that I came and started doing this whole casting gig, is because he was having too much goddamn fun, and I wanted to have some fun with him. So he's going to be my big brain analyst tonight. Let me yell into his ears. Make sure you're over there following, and I'll be doing everything I can to make sure that I'm sending people your way. And no. So, anything you want to say before we get into the draft? Any feelings about the tournament, the scene, what you've seen so far?
Okay, honestly, I've been semi-retired from Dota for quite some time after hitting a certain rank, but
you can say it. You hit Immortal, you freaking nerd. So you
unnumbered Immortal, yeah, unnumbered. The moment I hit Immortal, I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop playing. But I'm getting back into the scene. Like ever since Bops invited me to cast D2LA, and another tournament is coming up as well that I'm going to cast. I'm really excited to view the Australian scene, because I think this is my first time casting like a fully Australian tournament, and the scene in Australia is just so different from SCA. I would really like to see the different play styles as well as the hero picks from Australia.
From scene to scene. Yeah, and they do change. Each scene, I would say both Australia and
what's wrong with me? Why can't I
SEA don't necessarily stick to the meta as much. I mean, SEA definitely doesn't stick to the meta. They don't give a damn. It's the Wild West. They pick whatever they want and make it work. That's why the SEA scene is so goddamn good. Australia sort of develops its own meta, and they do tend to stick to it a little bit more, but it is a little bit wild. Not quite as crazy as SEA. SEA is the Wild West, and that's why it's my favorite scene. So I'm keen to see what you think of the Oz meta as it develops, and I think we'll see it develop a bit in this tournament and with the other tournament, the other tournaments that are happening in our scene. So very excited to see that, and also very excited to see a follow coming out. Thank you, the only Jin Ryu, coming through with a follow, and hi, also Twitch chat. I haven't said hi to any of you yet. I can see Burkatsi, I can see Stacy in there, I can see Camby turning up, and I think we have a taco game on our hands, so I'm not surprised to see Camby in chat, and Slappery, all Maximum QTs. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me and Anno, absolute legends. First chat coming out from the only Jin Ryu. Let's go, QT. Okay, Anno, let's talk a bit about the game. We can see a couple of bands coming out at the top of the band list there. The Earth Spirit and the Invoker. Now that'll be against Naj. Naj is quite a good mid player on Team Unreliable. Meanwhile, it looks like they're banning out POS 3s into MMR as just a number. So interesting to see the angles they're taking. Shadow Demon, Lion, Elder Titan, Trian. Anything catching you off guard here?
I'm pretty surprised that Unreliable first bans a Bristleback. I'm not sure if Bristleback is like back in the meta. Did they buff him or something? I'm not too aware.
He is, yeah. So he's a flex pick at the moment. He could be picked as a support or a core. So he, remember Tiny just a little while ago being able to be picked as mid 2, 4, 1. Actually, yep. Tiny could be picked anywhere. Briss is a bit like that at the moment. He can be 1, a 3, or either of the support positions because of his goo back. So pretty spooky. Yeah.
All right, interesting.
So ET coming out for Team Unreliable. That is because ET, or I Eat My Shoe, also known as Ham. The Australian scene knows him as Ham. He's probably the best ET player in our scene. Pretty nuts on the hero. So not surprised to see him get that. But keen to see what it is that MMR is just a number of thinking about here. Seeing some of the big POS 1s banned out. Do you think they go for a 3, a support? What do you reckon?
I'm not really looking into their core picks, but I'm really interested in the support duo with the Treant Lion. Lion is usually played pos 4, but I don't really like Lion as a 4. I don't really like him in the meta, to be honest, because of Lion is you need to have a really good start as a Lion. If you don't get a good start on him as a 4 or a 5, you're just going to be like a stun bot. You're just gonna get deleted. So I feel like Lion's a little bit weak in general, but MMR could just prove me wrong here. They pick up the Magnus Aster 3. That's somewhat unexpected, actually. I don't like it going into Shadow Demon, to be honest with you.
Shadow Demon can grief for Magnus. I'm a massive Shadow Demon player. Lots and lots of games on that hero. And I'm never really worried about a Magnus on the other team. However, this will probably be a Cena Magnus. Connor, he's a pretty spooky POS 3 player. You know those make or break players? What I call them is 20-0 or 0-20 players, where they either are the reason you win the game or the reason you lose the game. That's Cena. He will go for the risky play no matter what. And so heroes like Magnus really make him shine, or quite the opposite, make him look absolutely terrible. So we're keen to see it.
That's a mid layer, right?
No, Cena should be 3. If you looked at their previous games recently, they've had a few stand-ins, so they've swapping them around a little bit. I think they go TN POS 1, which is TS here, Xiao Miao POS 2, Bob Y 4, Killer Ari 5, and Cena 3, I think, is what they normally do. Yeah.
Okay, so I think MMR picks up Quap mid. Quap mid is just starting to become in the meta. Team Unreliable, I think that's a Tiny too. Like, I feel like Tiny is also something I wouldn't really pick up first. In terms, if I were to put Tiny on a tier list in mid, I would probably put him on B.
Yeah,
maybe bordering A. Yeah, it's just so difficult to get impact as a Tiny. Like, or rather, in this case, against a Queen of Pain, I feel like it's a skill matchup with Tiny going into Quap. If the Tiny can win the lane, I feel like he can have smooth sailing. But if this Quap applies too much pressure, or rather the Queen of Pain outmaneuvers the Tiny in terms of ganking, the Tiny is just going to be left on an island all alone there.
Yeah. Does have good setup for his team, but it's really going to depend what they elect to pick up as the POS 1, which is what I think they're still looking for here. Also, another little interesting tidbit for all you QTs that are turning up now in chat, you'll see that I've got him listed as Xiao Miao. The player's name is actually Yu Shao Miao. That's just a nickname I have for him in my friends list. Xiao Miao is a very, very young player. I thought that Zarnite was young and a bit of a prodigy, but holy, this Xiao Miao kid is real young and already has 8k or 8.5k MMR. He's been playing for like just a few years. I think it was less than 4 years, and he's already got he's coming up on 9k. So we thought Zarnite was a prodigy, and he is. But there's another prodigy in the scene, which is Xiao Miao. So keen to see the work that he puts in. The only reason I know he is as young as he is because I was talking about how young Zarnite was the other night, and he laughed in our faces and said that his age is very old. So a prodigy on the scene. Please do watch Yu Xiao Miao. I've actually messaged him and had a couple of games with him, Zarnite and Cena, just scrims and stuff like this recently, and he is an absolute god gamer. So I'm keen to see him work and also just to watch him grow in the scene. Fresh blood in our scene is what we need, otherwise our game dies. So show some love for some of these younger players. Meanwhile, on the other team, Anno, this other player has come out of freaking nowhere, Taco, and looks phenomenal. We all know in the Aussie scene, RFA, Naj, MGC, and Ham. They've been around forever and looked awesome. But Taco has just appeared out of nowhere, and he looks so good. He picks up things like Undyings. We saw him on Clockwork. He looks so good, Anno. And he's just come out of nowhere. I love seeing new players in the scene.
Is Taco like a POS 4, POS 5 player?
Yep.
10 seconds.
Interesting. Yeah, I really this is what I like about Dota as well. Like one day it feels like you're the best player in the world, and like the next day some random guy just pops up. All of a sudden he's like 9,000 MMR, and all of a sudden he's just lifting the dust. The unexpectedness of Dota. Yeah.
It's wild. Meanwhile, Bops still counting his MMR on 2 hands. We're getting there bit by bit. Okay, they're really thinking about these bans and picks. You see the Medusa ban, Razor, Alk, Morph, but they're 20 seconds left for Team Unreliable. They're thinking about it. Death Prophet, which
Tiny One.
Tiny One?
Or are they gonna run ET1?
It'll be Ham 3 for sure. He only plays that ET usually in the off lane. So I guess Naj takes the DP 2 and Tiny 1? Is Tiny 1 still relevant, Anno?
I think Tiny 1 is all right, depending on the lineup. And looking at the lineup right now on MMR, they're relatively squishy with a question mark. If they pick something tanky, okay. So they pick up the Weaver here. That's very interesting because Tiny as a +1 here, I feel like the Lion will not have a game in the mid-game part. And if the Tiny can just burst down the supports, I feel like this is a snowball lineup for Unreliable.
Yeah, the tempo. They've got a really, really fast tempo. First of all, raindrops, guys. Best item in the game. Buy them. There's a Tiny. So let's hope MMR is a number. Pick up a few raindrops. Maybe they've got Quap on the other team, so good for both teams. But Tiny starts rotating, picking off kills early with RFA and Taco. ET, also really, really good at early fighting. You watch how Ham plays this character. I know he is just going to man fight from level 1 and do 600 damage per right click. And then Naj is going to knock towers real quick with Exorcism. So I think you're right. I think Team Unreliable have a super fast timing. However, MMR is just a number, have some really cheeky limit testing players. Team Unreliable have very good players, but most of them are pretty by the books players. Whereas these MMR is just a number players. I mean, we've got Tien, we've got Connor, we've got Yushao Miao, Killer Ari, Mercil. These are limit testing players. So I think they're either going to be completely run over or they're going to look really, really good. So 0-20 or 20-0, Anno.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just like the name of the game for the SCA. So seeing it in the Australia division, I'm really curious to see what your definition of like 20-0 and 0-20, right? Because I've seen how it works in SCA, right? I've seen it crash and burn. Like the game is just over from the get-go. I want to see how you guys do it here in the Australia scene.
Well, let's hope they can put on a show. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this, the round-robin stage of D2LA Season 1 for Team Radiant. That is Team MMR is just a number. We have Mercil on the Lion, Jiao Miao on the Queen of Pain, Connor on the Magnus, Killer Ari on the Treant Protector, and that's Tien Board D on the Weaver. For Team Unreliable, that's Team Dire. We've got RFA on the Shadow Demon, Harj on the Death Prophet, Taco on the Snapfire, MGC on the Tiny, and Ham the Man on Elder Titan. Let's freaking go. And they're just gonna stand in jungle and not man fight. Run at each other, nerds.
Yeah, that's a very, in all honesty, that's a very Australia scene to do, because in SCA, it would be surprising if you don't run up in the SCA servers, but here in Australia, I've noticed that only maybe 1 or 2 teams are willing to run up every game, like honestly speaking.
Yeah, they want to just farm, they want to play it safe, they want to win the game, not have fun in the game. And there's a difference between having fun in a game and winning a game. Whoa, Science coming through with the raid. Thank you, Boo. If you guys aren't subscribed and following Science, get on over there and drop him a follow. He is Australia's kookiest mid and one of the biggest sweethearts you'll ever meet. Thank you for the raid, Boo. I appreciate you. You are a maximum a cutie. Thank you for coming through and raiding. Science, also another phenomenal Australian Dota player. Going to Riyadh very soon, I know. Oh,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so where do we expect to see First Blood this game? I can see some aggression in top lane.
I think it's in the river here in the secret shop.
Yeah, Ham in a whole bunch of trouble. Down he goes. Looks like Taco trying to take a kill onto the courier. Taco gonna limp away to the high ground. We'll be fine underneath the tower. But that's First Blood to Tien. That's not where you want your First Blood to go.
Yeah, no. I think that Elder Titan didn't expect that walk up from the Lion. And there's just a 3-man gank on him. There was really no answer. He has no Echo Stomp, he only has a Spirit. He just dies. Another thing I want to add, Bops. Tiny goes the insurmountable passive, or rather facet. Usually, I think what most Tiny carries do, they would still go Crash Landing just because of how strong Crash Landing is at clearing waves. But it would make sense for him to get the other facet. So it's a pick your poison kind of deal for the Tiny facet. Top lane.
Okay, looks like RFA having a back on out of there. Mercil hungry, Mercil won it. Connor gonna drop the big old nuke to bring it back into Mercil's clutches, and Mercil finishes it with the right click. MTC putting a bit of bully onto Mercil, but Mercil's just gonna disappear into those trees. So another cheeky kill coming out for MMR is just a number.
Yeah, right. So clearly Magnus, and rather the Lion, is already making the
Oh,
impact.
hang on, Taco and Ham in a whole bunch of trouble. Down goes Taco, down goes Ham. Killer Ari taking 2 kills and getting a tip from TN. Let's go. Ooh, I'm a bit worried, I know. This lane is accelerating.
Not just accelerating, it's honestly starting to get a little out of hand. You give the kills over to the Treant. You want it to go to the Weaver at least, but a really fed Treant is in the lane. It's just going to be so much to handle.
Okay. Mercil in a bit of trouble. Drops a stun onto the Tiny to drag him further away so he can't help RFA. Connor dragging RFA underneath the tower and he doesn't have a disruption. That's going to be a kill onto RFA, but it does cost them the Lion first, so...
Okay.
I do like that play from Mercil, dragging the Tiny off to the left so he couldn't assist. That was a bit cheeky.
Yep. Very fast pace in the laning phase. I'm kind of surprised that it's this fast pace in the Australia scene. Because usually, when I cast the Australian games, nothing happens. It's like 10 minutes in, it's like 0-0. First blood will happen 12 minutes, probably. But the side lanes are really showing their activity, and they have to. I mean, Treant Protector is a relatively aggressive support, and Lion has to do this. Unless you want to be a bot on a Lion, you're gonna have to play passive, but Mercil is just really active on this Lion.
Yeah, and do you know what's crazy is this Mercil, so I don't know if you know this about this tournament, Anno, because I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it, but this tournament was put together in a, like, drafting players manner. So they didn't get to pick their teams, they picked individual players and drafted a team from a pool, right? And so we're seeing players in positions they wouldn't normally be in. For example, Cena, normally a position 1 or a support. Xiao Miao, normally a position 1. Naj is usually a mid, but there's like a few players that are out of position because they've just been drafted into these teams and they have to work with people they've never worked with before. That's why we're seeing Taco hanging out with some of these guys and girls that we're very familiar with because he was drafted into this team. My point was that... actually, I lost my point. I completely forgot what I was going to say. There was something there, but it's gone. Okay. Point is that a lot of these players can be out of position, so it'll be keen to see how they all work together. Yeah, anyway.
It has to be careful. Mercil's in the area, but I think that's it.
Lost my train.
Oh, disconnect.
Oh, yeah, I remember what I was going to say. Sorry, I completely distracted. Mercil is not normally a support player, from what I've seen. Mercil is very often on core, so we've had the pleasure of seeing him play support, and he's looked pretty good on it. Not picking any of the really big brain supports like your Chens or your Earth Spirits or your Ios, or name another few heroes that Bops plays, but playing like the grassroots supports and making them look really, really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, Bops, I was in a tournament as well a month or two ago where we were also a pool of players and we got drafted to certain teams, right? And we were out of position. I'm not gonna say too much about my experience. I'm not saying it was negative, but all I'm saying is that my team had 4+1 players, and yeah, I'll let you imagine how the rest of the tournament went.
The tilt! Oh my god, +1 players you already have to babysit. Having 5 of them on one team, good god, holy! Oh,
yeah,
well.
It wasn't too bad, honestly speaking. We were able to adjust a lot of the times, but at the end of the day, we're all out of position and all that.
Ooh, Killer Ari taking a huge amount of damage. He actually pops his heal, his Leech Seed, to try and put some pain down, and might have been just enough for Tien to run in and finish off this kill. So Ham going down, but it does cost that very, very fed Tree actually giving up a killing spree there. Aggression onto MGC in the top lane as well. He's living away under the tower, but Cena always going to dive. Never seen the man not dive. Gets tossed back to RFA. RFA throwing out a few more shadow poisons. Mercil getting real low. He pops his wand before he can finish him off with the shadow poisons there. So lovely little play from Mercil. They don't get MGC, but they still get a kill in this dire off lane. Radiant off lane.
Yeah. Looking at bottom of top.
Yeah, they're finishing off MGC.
Not enough. But yeah, I'm looking at bottom and looking at Ham's struggle a bit on the Weaver. He doesn't have any stat items. Not going for a Bracer. Really low-key surprised about that. I would expect him to go maybe 1-2 Bracers so he can have that stat extra damage in the lane, but he opts to rush Phase Boots. Curious to see where this one will go.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the phase boots are for. Mind you, like, Ham is a super, super talented player, so whatever he's cooking, he's got something in mind. He's a thinking player, not a by-the-books player. So maybe he just wants to be able to keep up with the Weaver later on. But mid-tower, already going down. Naj using the haste and the exorcism to just knock it. So that's a pre-7-minute tower for Team Unreliable.
Yeah. That's honestly what can you do. I'm looking at the bottom.
Aggression on to kill Ari. He's just going to back on out. Go ahead, Anu.
Yeah, so looking at the CS and denies, I honestly forgot to turn on the tab for last hits denies. And looking at DP, 41 to the 30 of the Queen of Pain. So, yeah, 7 minutes, you should get that if you're dominating the lane that hard. Yeah.
You're talking about how Ham needs a few more stat items, and you know what? I'm inclined to agree with you a bit, Anno, because he is getting bullied by Tian's Weaver. Holy.
Bullied is a little bit of an understatement right now. Ham is 1-4. I think he's just getting spanked on the behind right now.
13-1 to Tian's 42-20. 20 denies. Good God.
Is this the... Which one was the player you said goes 20-0-20?
20-0-20 is Cena, the Magnus. The Magnus.
Okay.
Yeah. TN, the Weaver, is the one I said who has 20,000 MMR. One of the scariest players in our scene.
Because he's going... Dude, Ham is just...
Ham's just got back.
It's disgusting.
I know, he's just got back and he's already half HP. And if I know TN, he's gonna dive straight underneath the tower. Ham taking more damage, kill Ari, dropping the leech seed so TN can dive him deeper. Oh, down he goes. The leech seed is enough to finish him off. Calculated, says TN, and he gets on out of there. Doesn't need the last right click.
All right. This is just really... They're just leaving Taco on an island now on the bottom lane. They have to focus all their efforts. I think they have to play around this DP exorcism all the time. I feel like they can get a top tier 1 tower if they really want to. I don't think ganking a Weaver is a good idea, but I think they're gonna try it right now. They're smoked up in mid.
Yeah, they really don't have... Like, without the Tiny, they don't have huge lockdown for the Weaver. Like, he can sort of get away from the Stomp. I guess you can Disruption into Stomp or Disruption into Cookie, but again, this weave is already pretty thick. It looks like they might elect to go for the Trient instead. Trient taking a whole bunch of damage. The right click's coming out, but he's still alive, at least for now. Goes to pump his abilities, but can't quite do it. Tien, now caught on the low ground. Uh-oh! They actually managed to catch him. The silence keeps him in position, and they've done it. They've killed Tien and Killer Ari, so wonderful little gank coming out from Team Unreliable. Starting to slow down Team MMR is just a number, and I think there were some pretty important kills, Anno.
Yeah, that was actually such a sick play by Unreliable. They had no dust, by the way. None of the supports had dust for that Weaver, but the Shadow Demon was able to clip the Weaver with the disruption while he was under the Tsukuchi, and when the Tsukuchi wears off, the disruption's already over, and they just surround the Weaver who has no time lapse. So that's an insane play.
Okay, Ham, realizing he's going to get bullied and goes to pull it on out. They actually drop the trio because he's hit level 6. Pain coming out onto Ham. Ham doing everything he can to stay alive, but not going to be enough. Killer Ari is going to finish him. Meanwhile, RP top. Uh-oh! Tiny in a whole bunch of trouble. His support is already dead. Down goes the Tiny. Down goes the SD that just ported away. TP'd away from the Weaver, straight into the clutches of Magnus and Lion. Holy.
Taco.
And Taco getting picked mid.
Alright. This is just snowball galore right now for MMR.
Now, the one thing that Team Unreliable have going for him right now is Naj is pretty stacked. Let's go to our net worth. Man is same net worth as a Quap who has been farming this entire game to catch back up. So he's got his rod. Like, if he can find the right initiation, Naj can bring a whole lot of damage and lockdown. Just has to find the right hero to go on to.
Yeah, honestly, if I was Unreliable, I would probably smoke as much as I can because you have this Athos. Just go for the easy targets. Go for the supports. Maybe you can try the Magnus later on if you can get the jump on him first. I think you can with the Athos. He doesn't get to score away. You surround him, you silence him. Magnus is probably the only core you can hunt effectively. Maybe the Quap, but still, it's a little bit suspicious on the Quap to hunt her down.
Now Magnus going for the Harpoon first. Do you like that? I think maybe the stats are pretty good, thicking him up before the blink.
Yeah, why not? I mean, Magnus is top net worth, surprisingly, over a Weaver, who's like, what, 7 kills? Or 3 kills, actually. It felt like 7, I'm not gonna lie to you.
The tree's been taking quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Killer Ari
Right.
in there saying
Yeah,
kill
that's right.
secured, kill secured, kill secured.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you better have a 15-minute blink as a tree at the top side.
MGC, Rainbow TP's coming in, and it looks like they're gonna have to get on out of there. There's the rod going to work on Mercil. Mercil dropping the Hex onto the Tiny and just gonna lead all of them away from his Magnus. Not gonna take much to kill him. He is buying some time though. The Ravage! Holy! Managed to get a 3-man stun. Will be going down, but they actually pick Taco in the mid lane in return, so...
Is under attack.
Yeah, despite all that, I think MMR just like, they come out on top. The Magnus lives, Queen of Pain gets a solo kill because 4 heroes, or rather 3 heroes TP top to try to save the Tiny. And wait, they might go for the co-op here.
Yeah, they're going to. I think once they have vision, they'll drop the rod. There it is, the rod. Holy, he actually had an illusion rune bottled, and the rod means nothing. And now, Ham might be in a bunch of trouble. They kill his courier, but it only had a TP on it. Ham dead. That's the Dagon put to work. And down goes the ET, RFA, trying to run away. Holy, out comes a lion finger. An enormous right clicks coming out from TN, and he's already dead. Taco and Naj getting on out of there. Woo!
Oh my goodness. Blink and you'll miss it. Goodbye, Shadow Demon. I mean, honestly, what can you do? That's like a 12-minute, 11-minute Maelstrom on the Weaver. And even though you have an 11-minute Maelstrom on the Weaver, you're still not top net worth. And that's why Magnus didn't go the Blink Dagger, because at this rate, you don't need a Blink Dagger to initiate the fights. These fights are just coming naturally to the point where I'm just going to passively farm and I'm just going to walk up RP and they can't do anything about it because I'm so tanky.
Okay, so Banish comes out onto Mercil. They drop the rod. The cookie doesn't actually connect, so we might just walk away. They're putting the damage out, but no. Shadow Demon does finish him. Okay.
Yeah, they need to find value with this exorcism. I don't think they will. They need to try to at least damage tier 2 or try to go for bottom tier 1. But exorcism pop for just a lion?
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good, I know.
It's something, but you want more value. I mean, it's just been so rough, to put it bluntly. I mean, tier 1 tower bottom, it's about to wear off.
Yeah, at least they'll probably get this tower, but they're actually hunting Tiny in the top lane. He's running towards the portal, manages to juke TN. But he's gonna lose his courier. That may have been his Echo Saber just butchered right in front of him. Ooh. Not a good feeling.
At least you get a tower. I mean, I don't know. I'm actually relatively speechless right now. It's just been so unfortunate for Unreliable. Their timings were a little bit off. I mean, Ham gets bullied. I mean, no hate to Ham, but he just gets bullied because of a Weaver Treant, and there's not really much you can do.
It's such a hard lane, hey. Like Weaver Treant, I've been against it, and it's like if you've got a melee core, you're in for a pretty rough time. So again, you're right. There's no shade being thrown his way. He just had to play a matchup that I don't think he was.
Oh wait.
Oh no! Holy! Jump out! Blinks into 4. The silence comes out, and he's just caught there. It's not gonna take much more to finish him up. Out comes the dust. Taco carrying us. Oh man! RP coming out from Kono, drags him underneath the tower, and Oli, they're all dead. Taco trying to limp away. Nash caught in position, actually gets the TP barely, but it costs him 3. Let's go! Cena Magnus lighting him up and knocking him down. Whoa! And dropping my favorite voice line in the entire game, the lyrical voice line. Thank you, Cena.
Alright, so that's the Blink reveal. Work to absolute perfection. Gordon Ramsay will get that 5 stars, in all honesty. I mean, you get the Queen of Pain, right? But you lose 3 heroes. But, you know, it says the goal difference is in favor of MMR. But I will say that Unreliable is a winner in that one. You lose 3, but you lose 2 supports and you lose Ham. And Ham has just been struggling this entire game. I don't think he's gonna really miss a lot because
he's
barely has anything.
He's only level 7. Oh my lord, he's having a hard game, and it's about to get a whole lot harder because here's Cena bringing him straight on back to those supports. The finger comes out, and down goes ET.
right?
Oh,
At this
empathy
point-
pains. Empathy pains.
Yeah, at this point, this Elder Titan is getting to the point of being a over glorified lane creep. And you know, I believe in the scaling of the ET. You know, unironically, if this ET gets like a 5-man stomp, 5-man Earth Splitter, I feel like that will be the name of the game. I believe in the Taco. You said Taco is a good ET. I'll take your word for it. And if there is a good ET, you always have a chance in a game.
Yeah, Ham's ET is just so freaking phenomenal. And like the guy, I got stomped by it literally today. Right before this game, I played a game against Ham playing his ET, and he smooshed me. In fact, there was one stage where he 5-man wiped my entire team. Hold up, stun onto MGC, and it looks like Tian's actually able to get out of there. Xiao Mao blinking over the backlines to get rid of the SD, kill Ari and a whole bunch of trouble. He's taken a whole bunch of damage. MGC drops a stun onto the Lion in the air. Down he comes. Cena turning up and dealing with that annoying bloody snapfire. MGC having to limp on out now. Tien playing forward. Ham trying to get on out of there, taking a whole bunch of damage. 1 or 2 more right clicks will be enough. And now Naj, they don't quite connect onto him, so the harpoon doesn't bring him back to Tien. Cena didn't have anything to get past that tree, but Tien's still hungry, running at Naj. Naj drops the silence, but I think he's slowly but surely going to be run down by this Weaver. The rod to keep him in position. Cena charging on over. Mercil hungry and hunting. Naj running into Mercil and Cena. There's the harpoon. Brought back to the rest of MMR is just a number, and down goes Naj. Naj creating a little bit of space there though, so not the worst thing. Still not ideal.
I mean, you get the Queen of Pain again at the very least, but at the same time, the way that they played that fight, that was probably the first 5-on-5 fight this game. It results in a team wipe, and not only is that Weaver running laps on them, they split that fight so well. You pop the Exorcism on DP, sure, you would be scared of a Exorcism on the DP being activated in the fight, but they just kite around it so good. Cena just like splitting the fight, picking it off. Didn't even use RP, by the way.
Did he? Yeah, he didn't. He didn't drop it in that fight.
Didn't need to.
Yeah. Well, while we got a brief moment before it all kicks back into gear, and it's very brief, I just want to say hi, Splatter. I see you in there. Show you. I see you turn up, already hot dropping memes. I can see Jin Ryu still hanging out. Old man Novagramps himself in chat here for the game. Dropping a wah wah wee wah because he still has no idea what's happening in Dota. Spam some Novagramps for our boy Novagramps in chat. I love you all, cuties, and what a fun game we are having already. How good's Anno alongside me as well, guys and girls? Absolute cutie. Hang on, aggression now onto Ham. Ham put inside the disruption to try and keep him alive a little bit longer. Holy, Linefinger coming out into RFA, and Elder Titan already sent straight back to his base. It looks like they're going to be going on to MGC. MGC taking a whole bunch of damage. Won't be alive much longer. One more right click from that Lion will be enough. And the right click coming out from that Weaver as well. They're still hunting, but they can't quite find Naj. Naj is sneaking away underneath the ward currently. He likes to pop his Exo and just go straight on in, taking a whole bunch of damage. I think that might be the GG call. There it is. First game done in 19 minutes. Holy.
Yeah.
19 minutes, 39 kills, Anno.
Yeah, I mean, what can you really do? MMR, they had to snowball. They had one game plan with this lineup. If you have a Weaver, you have to snowball relatively fast. You have the Queen of Pain as well, and